What's up, self-healers? Lisa Lightfeather here. Welcome to my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Today, I want to come on and speak about the topic of narcissistic collapse and what is it? So the narcissist has this facade, this mask, right, of who they perceive themselves to be. And it's normally a pretty grandiose perception of themselves. And so they've spent their entire lifetime building this persona, yes? And so eventually they kind of run into themselves, right? Eventually the narcissist will come into something that exposes them, right? Or they will get something that's referred to as a narcissistic injury. A narcissistic injury is anything that taps into the fragile self of the narcissist, right? And so when this happens, there is a narcissistic collapse could happen. So what are some examples of a narcissistic injury? Now, you have narcissistic injuries where their ego has been touched upon and they don't necessarily have a collapse. But the collapse occurs when something big happens, such as they're in a relationship with someone who is of, let's say they're of high status, or they're really good looking, or really pretty, or really handsome, or they have a lot of money. Anyways, they're in a relationship with someone who makes them look good, right? And that person leaves them. The narcissist could have a narcissistic collapse after they've tried the hoovering, they've tried to get back with them and all that, and it doesn't work. Then they can have a collapse. They can also have a collapse when they do something like maybe lose a lot of money. Just say if a narcissist is a gambler and they lose a whole lot of money and now they're in debt, they may have a collapse. Or if they get caught doing something that they've been doing for a really long time and they finally get caught at it and they're in a lot of trouble at this point, then they could have a narcissistic collapse. They could also have a narcissistic collapse like if they have a prestigious job. They have a job and it's a high level job. They're known to be a leader and things of that sort. They can have a narcissistic collapse, right? So when a narcissist has a narcissistic collapse, usually they're exposed. They're exposed to the public. And so they, let me make sure I check my surroundings because people be walking up on you. Anyways, so they're exposed to the public. And so they, the shame has taken over, right? Because narcissists struggle with shame a whole lot, right? And so the shame has taken over. So they're scrambling to try to recuperate the status, recuperate the mask. So when they go through this, it can resemble, right? It can resemble a dark night of the soul. And so a narcissist that has a narcissistic collapse, let's just say, use this for an example. If a narcissist is an alcoholic, right? And then they have a narcissistic collapse. Let's just say they're drinking and driving. They hit somebody, they hurt somebody in a car accident, and now they're on the news and people are, they're exposed, right? They've hurt somebody. There's no way out of it. They may have a narcissistic collapse. And then what they will do is they will immediately start doing things like going to AA. Oh, I'm going to go to AA. I want to be healed. I realize that I'm an alcoholic now and I want to go take care of that. Or they'll do something like immediately start going to counseling. Let's just say it's a high status person and they have an affair and they get caught. The narcissist can have a collapse because now their status is in jeopardy. And so they might say, well, I'm ready to go to marriage counseling now. Or on a spiritual aspect of it, they might say, I'm ready to do shadow work. I'm ready to do inner child work. I'm ready to start healing. And they will play this role to try to keep people on their side so they can keep that facade going. They can keep that mask on, right? And so they will play the role of that they're going to go heal now. When all actuality, they're not doing that at all. What they're doing is they're buying time until they can recuperate the mask. They can recuperate and get back into the narcissistic mode. And so they'll switch from being the narcissistic mode, they'll switch to a vulnerable narcissist, basically, where now they're the victim and they need help, right? But the empath will fall for this because, especially if it's a family member, because the empath wants to see them get better. And so the empath will fall for that, and they'll go through the whole rigmarole of going to getting them into AA or getting them into counseling, helping them to learn about shadow work or inner child work, just really going all out for them, giving them all of their energy while they're in this narcissistic collapse. The narcissistic collapse is very traumatic for the narcissist. I mean, they go deep, 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 dark, 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 because they get really depressed. They might go into hiding. They might delete all their social media accounts. They might disappear off the planet of the earth for, upwards a year or so, But what they're doing is they're just basically trying to dodge the shame or the embarrassment of what has come to light. And what they're doing is they're trying to recuperate the mass. They're trying to recuperate the ego. And so, the narcissist will do this. Now, the empath will be trying to help the narcissist and, hey, let's do some shadow work. Let's do some inner child work. Let's go to counseling. Let's go to AA. Let's go to Gamblers Anonymous. Let's go, whatever it is, Kleptomaniac Anonymous, Porn Addiction Anonymous, whatever it is. The empath is trying to help them. And they will feed on that empath's energy under the pretense of them healing. And as soon as they get back on their feet, they're back in narcissistic mode, stronger than ever. Yep. That's what they do. So the narcissist will collapse, be totally broke down for one reason or another, and it is one of the saddest things you'll ever see. They'll start journaling, shadow work, inner child work. Oh my God, I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to fix everything. They're not trying to fix anything. They're trying to cover up the shame that they're actually feeling at that time. Yeah. So when a narcissist collapses, it can be quite sad because they're the exact opposite of what they were. So they're all grandiose and everything's perfect and they have the perfect life and they're this, that, and the other, and selfies. Can't even take a bite of food without a selfie, and so forth and so on. And then when they collapse, it's just total darkness for them. Yeah. And so they're basically like a fish out of water or someone drowning. They're just trying to grasp onto anything to try to stay above water. And usually it's an empath that's close by that they grasp on and pretend like they're trying to heal and they want to get back on their feet and be a good person. But in all actuality, it's all just part of the narcissistic game. Yeah. So when they collapse, let them collapse. Let them sit there in that ugly mess that they created for themselves, and don't try to save them, because trust me, they don't want to be saved. They just need you there to feed on while they pretend like they're trying to heal. Yeah. So that's what a narcissistic collapse is in a nutshell. I hope that this has helped someone see better, someone see clearer. When a narcissist goes into these dark modes, it's because they've been exposed. They're fighting shame. One of the narcissist's biggest fears is being ashamed. Yep, being exposed and someone seeing them for who they really are. And so they can play a good game about they're trying to heal and they want to change and they want to be better and all this other stuff. It's all a bunch of crap. They're just trying to regain their composure. Yeah. Well, that's all I have for you here today on Closing the Gap. We're making a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. If you like my content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Someone liked it for you. They got the video in your algorithm. Like it for somebody else so it can get in somebody else's algorithm. And if you're really feeling my vibe, don't forget to hit that bell notification so that you know the next time that I upload. We'll see you next time here on Closing the Gap. See you later.